Welcome, everyone, to the 2025 Big Other Book Award ceremony. I'm John Madera, publishing editor of Big Other and your host today. Thanks for being with us. You could be at home, mainlining prestige slop streaming content, vaporizing your attention span, doom scrolling through algorithmic panic feeds, marinating in AI-generated outrage, or anxiously refreshing updates about which hollow authoritarian narcissist or focus-grouped corporate avatar will next inherit the machinery of our increasingly threadbare so-called democracy and continue strip-mining the commons for profit and spectacle. So genuinely, thank you for being here. That is, being there wherever you are. If you're wondering, like many others I've video conferenced with, if the wall of books in the background is real, the answer is yes. But I am not real. That is, I am unreal. Really. Established in 2009, Big Other is an online arts and culture magazine which features work by Pulitzer Prize winners Ray Armentrout and Forrest Gander, National Book Award winners Daniel Berzutsky and Arthur Zay, Grandmaster of Science Fiction and Fantasy Samuel R. Delany, and a host of other stellar writers. On your screen, you should see Big Other's online address. If you're not familiar with the journal, I hope you'll take a look. Speaking of social media, please like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle is Big Other Mag. In recognition of excellence in literature published in 2025, I'll be announcing a winner in each of the following categories: fiction, poetry, nonfiction, and translation. A Reader's Choice Award and awards for lifetime achievement and outstanding service to the literary community will also be announced. Before we proceed, though, I would like to pay homage to two champions of literature and small presses, including Big Other, each of whom died last year, namely John Dominy and Dan Wickett. John Dominy, the novelist, critic, translator, and teacher whose generous advocacy for contemporary literature made him a beloved figure in literary communities across the United States and beyond, died suddenly on March 27, 2025, while traveling off the coast of Morocco. He was 74. A prolific and wide-ranging writer, Dominy published fiction, memoir, poetry, criticism, and translations over the course of a decades-long career. His work appeared in publications including Big Other, the Paris Review, the New York Times, Plowshares, the Washington Post, Literary Hub, and the Brooklyn Rail. At the time of his death, a collection of his criticism, much of it drawn from his work in the Brooklyn Rail, was being assembled for publication. Born to Enzo and Margaret Dominy, he studied at Boston University, earned an MFA from Johns Hopkins University, and completed a doctorate at Union Institute and University. Early in his literary life, he studied with writers including John Barth, Donald Barthelme, Stanley Elkin, and Anne Sexton. He later taught at institutions including Harvard University, Northwestern University, Drake University, and Grinnell College. Friends and colleagues remember Dominy not only for his intelligence and cosmopolitan literary sensibility, but for his warmth, humor, and tireless generosity toward other writers. He championed emerging and established authors alike. After marrying Letty Prell in 2006, Dominy became deeply involved in the cultural life of Des Moines, writing about theater, music, and visual art, and helping found the Cloris Awards celebrating local live theater. John Dominy leaves behind an enduring body of work and a vast community of writers, students, readers, and friends, touched by his wit, wisdom, kindness, and passionate belief in literature as a shared human endeavor. Dan Wickett, co-founder of Dzanc Books and founder of the influential Emerging Writers Network blog, died on September 15, 2025, after a long struggle with a heart condition. He was 59. For more than 2 decades, Wickett was a vital presence in independent literary culture, an editor, advocate, organizer, reviewer, and tireless supporter of emerging writers whose generosity and enthusiasm helped shape the contemporary small press landscape. In 2006, alongside Steve Gillis, he co-founded Dzanc Books, the nonprofit independent press that would become one of the most respected publishers of innovative contemporary fiction and literary nonfiction in the United States. Wickett served as the press's executive director for nearly a decade before stepping back in 2014 due to ongoing health issues. Through the Emerging Writers Network, Wickett championed small press authors and overlooked books long before social media transformed literary promotion into a permanent performance economy. He reviewed books, interviewed writers, organized conversations, and created spaces where literary culture could flourish outside mainstream publishing structures. He also helped organize and host Brain Candy, a monthly Detroit area arts event that brought together writers, musicians, and visual artists in an atmosphere of experimentation and mutual support. Wicket belonged to a generation of literary citizens who understood that writing communities survive not simply through publication, but through sustained acts of advocacy, attention, and care. Countless writers, editors, and readers encountered important work because Dan Wicket took the time to champion it. He leaves behind an enduring legacy in the independent literary world he helped build, one grounded less in prestige than in curiosity, kindness, and a profound belief in the importance of supporting other writers. Big thanks once again to John Dominy and Dan Wicket, two champions of literature and small presses. We miss you already, to say the least. On to the 2025 Big Other Lifetime Achievement Awards. The award is for writers who have made a significant contribution to literature and are continuing to shape and direct the conversation about literary art, about language, form, structure, style, and more. Championing writers at the height of their careers is part of Big Other's long-standing efforts to celebrate literary art, promote innovation, creativity, diversity, and inclusivity, and engage and inspire more discerning readers. Here are the awardees of the 2025 Big Other Lifetime Achievement Awards. Susan Howe is an American poet, essayist, and critic associated with experimental and avant-garde writing. Educated at the Boston Museum School, she initially trained as a visual artist before turning to poetry, bringing a distinctive attention to typography, archival materials, and the visual field of the page. Howe's work engages early American history, Puritan texts, and marginalized archival voices, combining poetic fragmentation with scholarly inquiry. Major works include My Emily Dickinson, The Birthmark, and The Midnight, which blend poetry, criticism, and historical reflection. She has often been linked to language poetry, though her work remains formally distinct within that context. Her more recent books include Spontaneous Particulars, The Telepathy of Archives, Depths, and Penitential Cries, which continues her exploration of voice history and the materiality of language through archival and sonic experimentation. Howe has received numerous honors, including the Bollingen Prize in American Poetry, and is widely regarded as one of the most innovative poets of her generation, known for reshaping the relationship between poetry, history, and the archive. Jacques Rancière is a French philosopher whose work spans political theory, aesthetics, and the philosophy of education. He studied at the École Normale Supérieure, where he was a student of Louis Althusser and contributed to the collective volume Reading Capital. Rancière later broke with Althusser's structural Marxism, developing his own approach centered on equality, dissensus, and the capacity of ordinary people to think and act politically. He is best known for works such as The Ignorant Schoolmaster, which challenges conventional ideas about teaching and intellectual authority, and Disagreement, where he defines politics as moments when those excluded from power assert their equality. His writings on art and perception, including The Politics of Aesthetics, explore how aesthetic experience shapes what can be seen, said, and thought within a society. Among his more recent books are Aesthesis, Scenes from the Aesthetic Regime of Art, The Method of Equality, and The Time of the Landscape, which continues his exploration of aesthetics, perception, and temporality. Rancière's work has been influential across disciplines for its insistence on radical equality and its rethinking of the relationship between politics, art, and knowledge. Gayatri Chakravorty Spivak is an Indian scholar, literary theorist, and public intellectual, best known for her work in post-colonial studies and critical theory. Educated at the University of Calcutta and Cornell University, she has spent much of her career teaching at Columbia University, where she is university professor in the humanities. Spivak rose to international prominence with her influential 1988 essay, Can the Subaltern Speak?, which examines how marginalized voices are represented and often silenced within dominant Western discourse. She is also widely known for translating and introducing Jacques Derrida's Of Grammatology into English, helping shape the reception of deconstruction in the Anglophone world. Her more recent books include Ethics and Politics in Tagore, Coetzee, and Certain Scenes of Teaching, which reflects on literature, pedagogy, and responsibility across global contexts, and Spivak Moving, a volume of interviews and reflections on her intellectual trajectory. Throughout her career, Spivak has combined theoretical work with activism, particularly in rural education initiatives in India, emphasizing the importance of ethical engagement and the persistent challenges of representing subaltern subjects. J.L. Wright is an American poet, essayist, and playwright whose work explores myth, spirituality, and cross-cultural traditions, particularly drawing on African, Indigenous American, and European sources. He studied at University of New Mexico and later at University of California, Berkeley, and has taught at a number of institutions while maintaining a relatively independent literary career. Wright's poetry is known for its philosophical depth, musicality, and engagement with ritual and cosmology. Major works include The Homecoming Singer and Dimensions of History, which helped establish his reputation as a major American poet. His writing often resists conventional narrative, instead constructing layered meditations on identity, history, and the sacred. His more recent books include Transfigurations, Collected Poems, a comprehensive gathering of his poetic work, and Music's Mask and Measure, which reflects his ongoing interest in music performance and poetic form. Wright has received numerous honors, including the National Book Critics Circle Award, and is widely regarded as one of the most distinctive and intellectually ambitious poets of his generation. Congratulations once again, and another round of applause for Susan Howe, Jacques Rancière, Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, and J.L. Wright, awardees of the 2025 Big Other Lifetime Achievement Award. And now I'm happy to celebrate the recipients of the 2025 Big Other Literary Citizenship Award. This award aims to recognize outstanding efforts towards supporting the work of innovative writers and adventurous presses through reviewing, editing, publishing, and/or promoting books, as well as encouraging, building, and sustaining a robust literary culture. Here are the recipients of the 2025 Big Other Literary Citizenship Award. Joseph Schreiber is a reader, critic, editor, amateur photographer, and queered parent of grown children, whose critical work focuses on translated and experimental fiction as well as literary nonfiction, engaging broader concerns around philosophy, mental health, sexuality, and gender. Based in Western Canada, though increasingly restless, as he puts it, he serves as essays editor at Minor Literatures and was previously criticism nonfiction editor at 3AM magazine, as well as an editor at The Schofield. His reviews and essays have appeared in Numéro 5, The Quarterly Conversation, The Rusty Toque, Sultan Seal, RIC Journal, and elsewhere. He writes online as Rough Ghosts across platforms, though, by his own admission, more quietly in some places than others. Micah Zevin is a poet and librarian living in Jackson Heights, Queens, New York, with his wife, a playwright. He is the author of Metal Heavy. His writing has appeared in American Journal of Poetry, Big Other, 5-to-1 Magazine, Heavy Feather Review, Jokes Review, Maudlin House, the Newtown Literary Journal, Blog, The Otter, Poetry and Politics, Post Blank, Reality Beach, The Tower Journal, and the What Rough Beast series at Indolent Books. Curator and host of many reading events at the Queens Public Library, Zevin also founded and curates the Risk of Discovery reading series, an open mic poetry prompt workshop now at Blue Cups in Woodside, Queens, New York. Congratulations again to, and another round of applause for Joseph Schreiber and Micah Zevin, the awardees of the 2025 Big Other Literary Citizenship Award. Speaking of literary citizenship, as Lance Olson has argued, the contemporary writer does far more than simply write. Authors also help, quote, make literary culture happen, unquote, through editing, journals, publishing and reviewing fellow writers, teaching, organizing readings, coordinating conferences, running indie presses, launching writing groups, laboring in arts administration, and continually talking up the books and authors they care about. Writing itself is only one creative act within a much larger literary life, which is why sustaining literary culture requires participation, not passive expectation. So perform one act of literary citizenship every day, or whatever is realistically sustainable. Imagine if everyone invested in small press literature made a habit of posting about a small press book or writer they weren't directly affiliated with. Imagine if readers consistently bought independent books, reviewed them, interviewed authors, attended events, shared excerpts, taught contemporary work, or simply amplified writing that might otherwise disappear beneath the noise of the culture industry. Post about small press books. Post about writers you admire. Post about your own work without apology. Post about teaching writing and the people who teach it. Share audio and video clips of readings. Celebrate editors, translators, booksellers, organizers, and teachers. Start a reading series. Launch a magazine. Build local scenes and unlikely affinities. What emerges from these overlapping acts of support is what Olson calls a, quote, tribal ecology, unquote. Loose coalitions organized around shared aesthetic and existential kinships that often exist outside and sometimes directly against dominant cultural models. The goal is not simply to preserve literary culture, but to create new, quote, possibility spaces for possibility spaces, unquote, communities where different forms of thinking, feeling, writing, and living can continue to flourish. Next up is the announcement of the winners of the 2025 Big Other Book Awards. But before I announce the winners, please allow me to invite you to make a tax-deductible contribution to Big Other. Your contribution will help us continue to publish innovative writing, small press book features, reviews of deserving under-the-radar books, etc. You can find a link to make a donation in the show notes. Thank you. Thank you for your continuing support. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm incredibly excited to announce the winners of the 2025 Big Other Book Awards, which aims to recognize excellence in literature to promote and support the work of innovative writers and adventurous presses. On to the 2025 Big Other Reader's Choice Award. Without further ado, here are the finalists for the 2025 Big Other Reader's Choice Award. Diana Artarian's Agrippina the Younger, Curbstone Press. Kurt Baumeister's Twilight of the Gods, Stalking Horse Press. Kim Chinqui's Contact with the Wild, Mad Hat Press. Monica De La Torre's Pause the Document, Nightboat Books. Elaine Ecke's Out of the Blank, Coffee House Press. Molly Gaudry's Fit Into Me, Rose Metal Press. Kevin Killian's Padam Padam, Nightboat Books. Michael Leong's Dear Vase, Already Shattered Against the Fragile Floor, Black Square Editions. Norman Locke's Eden's Clock, Bellevue Literary Press. Robert Lopez's The Best People, Dzank Books. Elizabeth Robinson's Vulnerability Index, Curbstone Press. Jerome Sala's Glop, Blazevox Books. Amber Sparks's Happy People Don't Live Here, Live Right Publishing. Constance Squires's Low April Sun, University of Oklahoma Press. Mark Vincenz's Ironclad, Spike and Dival Press. Joy Williams's The Pelican Child, Knopf. And the winner of the 2025 Big Other Reader's Choice Award is Elaine Ecke's Out of the Blank, published by Coffee House Press. Congratulations to and another round of applause for Elaine Ecke, winner of the 2025 Big Other Reader's Choice Award for Out of the Blank, published by Coffee House Press. Out of the Blank is a masterclass in poetic attention. With her characteristic blend of humor, curiosity, and philosophical lightness, Elaine Ecke discovers unexpected portals in the commonplace, turning the smallest observations into occasions for surprise and reflection. These nimble, luminous poems expand the boundaries of the everyday without ever losing sight of its peculiar magic. Gentle reminder, everyone, please like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle is Big Other Mag. On to the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Translation. Without further ado, here are the finalists for the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Translation. Antonio Lobo Antunes's Midnight is Not in Everyone's Reach, translated by Elizabeth Lowe, Dalkey Archive Press. Gilles Deleuze's On Painting, Courses March through June 1981, translated by Charles J. Stivale, University of Minnesota Press. Sibylle Grimbert's The Last of Its Kind, translated by Alicia Jensen, Bookhug Press. Vincenzo Latronico's Perfection, translated by Sophie Hughes, The New York Review of Books. Pascale Monnier's Touché, translated by Cole Swenson, Green Linden Press. Melissa Salma's Luminescence, translated by Ariel Francisco, Spite and Dival. Yoko Tawada's Exophony, Voyages Outside the Mother Tongue, translated by Lisa Hoffman Kuroda, New Directions. Olga Tokarczuk's Mr. Distinctive, translated by Antonia Lloyd-Jones, illustrated by Joanna Consejo, Seven Stories Press. Peter Weiss's The Aesthetics of Resistance, Volume 3, translated by Joel Scott, Duke University Press. San Shui's Mother River, translated by Karen Gernat and Chen Seiping, Open Letter Books. And the winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Translation is San Shui's Mother River, translated by Karen Gernat and Chen Seiping, published by Open Letter Books. Congratulations again to and another round of applause for San Shui and Karen Gernant and Chen Sei-ping, winners of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Translation for Mother River, published by Open Letter Books. In Mother River, San Shui builds a series of uncanny fictions in which perception itself becomes unstable. A man pursues an elusive golden peacock that continually slips beyond capture, while elsewhere a woman communicates with shifting, indeterminate forms of light that seem to answer her without ever fully resolving into meaning. Even a river running through a small village feels sentient, altering the boundaries between landscape and consciousness. Across quietly disorienting 13 stories, San Shui renders reality porous. Objects think, environments remember, and human intention dissolves into atmosphere. Strange, precise, and disquieting, Mother River extends San Shui's signature exploration of how meaning is made and unmade at the edge of the known. On to the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Nonfiction. Without further ado, here are the finalists for the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Nonfiction. Giorgio Agamben's The Body of Language, translated by Kevin Attell, Seagull Books. Laurie Blauner's Swerve, Rain Mountain Press. Julie Carr's The Garden, Essay Press and Paminar Press. Molly Gowdry's Fit Into Me, Rose Metal Press. Byung-Chul Han's In Praise of the Earth, A Journey into the Garden, translated by Daniel Stewart, Polity Books. Michael Loughran's Windower, CSU Poetry Center. Robert McFarlane's Is a River Alive, W.W. Norton and Company. Michael Martone's Table Talk and Second Thoughts, A Memoir in Flashes, Cornerstone Press. Russell Pearson's These Threads Who Lead to Bramble, Dzanc Books. Jeffrey Pethybridge's Forced Drift, An Essay in the Epic, Tupelo Press. Amy Souza Riley's Human Animal, A Bestiary and Essays, Wilfrid Laurier, University Press. Dean Harlan Wilson's Strange Love Countries, Science Fiction, Philosophy, and the Kubrickian Consciousness, Stalking Horse Press. And the winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Nonfiction is Jeffrey Pethybridge's Forced Drift, An Essay in the Epic, published by Tupelo Press. Congratulations to and another round of applause for Jeffrey Pethybridge, winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Nonfiction for Forced Drift, An Essay in the Epic, published by Tupelo Press. In Forced Drift, Jeffrey Pethybridge confronts the violence of the U.S. torture program with extraordinary formal intelligence and ethical rigor. Drawing on documentary poetics, political theory, and the epic tradition, this text seeks not merely to represent atrocity, but to register the forces that sustain it, exposing the language, architectures, and abstractions through which state violence is concealed. At once intellectually demanding and morally urgent, Forced Drift is a powerful act of reckoning and a remarkable work of documentary imagination. On to the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Poetry. Without further ado, here are the finalists for the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Poetry. Molly Bendall's Turncoat, Omnidon Press. Susan Briante's 13 Questions for the Next Economy, Noemi Press. Robin Cost-Lewis's Archive of Desire, Knopf. Elaine Ecky's Out of the Blank, Coffeehouse Press. Robert Gibbons's Anatomy and Geography, Stalking Horse Press. Daniel Hines' New Famous Phrases, Broken Sleep Books. Pierre Joris's Poesis 2, Wesleyan University Press. Douglas Kearney's I Imagine I've Been Science Fiction Always, Wave Books. Ara Ko's Brine Orchid, Yes Yes Books. John Kinsella's Aporia, Turtle Point Press. Michael Leong's Dear Vase Already Shattered Against the Fragile Floor, Black Square Editions. Heller Levinson's Crossfall, Black Widow Press. Erin L. McCoy's Rex, Noemi Press. Harriet Mullins' Regaining Unconsciousness, Grey Wolf Press. Mary Newell's Entwine, Blaze Vox. Colleen O'Brien's Real, CSU Poetry Center. Elizabeth Robinson's Vulnerability Index, Curbstone Press. Jared Singer's Forgotten Necessities, Button Poetry. Emily Skillings's Tantrums in Air, The Song Cave. Arthur Zay's Into the Hush, Copper Canyon Press. Fargo Nissim Tabaki's Terror Counter, Deep Vellum Publishing. And the winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Poetry is Fargo Nissim Tabaki's Terror Counter, published by Deep Vellum Publishing. Congratulations to and another round of applause for Fargo Nissim Tabaki, winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Poetry for Terror Counter, published by Deep Vellum Publishing. In Terror Counter, Fargo-Nissim Tabaki tunnels through the language of empire, law, and literary convention, creating a poetics of fugitivity, opacity, and collective survival. Formally inventive and politically uncompromising, the collection refuses the terms through which Palestinian life is made legible and consumable, excavating instead new possibilities for relation, rebellion, and futurity. These are poems that weaken foundations and make a way out of no way. On to the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Fiction. Without further ado, here are the finalists for the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Fiction. Kurt Baumeister's Twilight of the Gods, Stalking Horse Press. Jesse Bender's Child of Light, Whiskey Tit Press. Craig Bernardini's 12 Oxen Under the Sea, New American Press. Matilda Bernstein Sycamore's Pterodactyl, Coffeehouse Press. Teresa Carmody's A Healthy Interest in the Lives of Others, Autofocus. Kim Chinqui's Contact with the Wild, Mad Hat Press. Lauren Davis's The Nothing, Yes Books. Alex Foster's Circular Motion, Grove Press. James W. Fuerst's Distress Cries of Animals, Spaceboy Books. David Greenwood's The Cloud Intern, under the BQE Press. Caroline Haygood's Death and Other Speculative Fiction, Spite and Dival. Brady Harrison's A Journey to Al Ramel, 12 Winters Press. Norman Locke's Eden's Clock, Bellevue Literary Press. Robert Lopez's The Best People, Dzanc Books. Madeline McDonald's Lonesome Ballroom, Rescue Press. Shani Mutu's Starry Starry Night, Book Hug Press. Alan Michael Parker's Bingo Bango Boingo, Dzanc Books. Miranda Schreiber's Iris and the Dead, Book Hug Press. Constance Squires' Low April Sun, University of Oklahoma Press. Joy Williams's The Pelican Child, Knopf. And the winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Fiction is Norman Locke's Eden's Clock, published by Bellevue Literary Press. Congratulations again to, and another round of applause for Norman Locke, winner of the 2025 Big Other Book Award for Eden's Clock, published by Bellevue Literary Press. In Eden's Clock, Norman Locke crafts an enthralling American odyssey that is at once picaresque adventure, historical meditation, and tribute to the storytelling traditions of an earlier age. Through the voice of Frederick Heigold, a mute Civil War veteran and clockmaker, recounting his improbable journey to Jack London, Locke explores the fragile boundaries between the individual will and the vast forces of history, chance, and catastrophe. Richly imagined and deeply humane, Eden's Clock is a fitting culmination to Locke's The American Novels series. And congratulations to all the winners of the 2025 Big Other Book Awards: Elaine Ecke, Norman Locke, Fargo-Nissim, Jeffrey Pethybridge, and San Shui, and Karen Gernant, and Chen Se-ping. Congratulations again to the awardees of the 2025 Big Other Lifetime Achievement Award: Susan Howe, Jacques Rancière, Gayatri Chakravorty Spivak, and J.L. Wright. And congratulations again to the awardees of the 2025 Big Other Literary Citizenship Award: Joseph Schreiber and Micah Zevin. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for supporting literature. Thanks for supporting Big Other. Thanks for supporting small and independent presses. Thanks for supporting the best words in the best order. Finally, let's keep dreaming together, thinking, imagining, questioning, making, building, laughing, dancing, creating, and sustaining together, because all of it, at its best, is another way of practicing love together. And remember, art is food. You are what you read. And rebel, refuse, repeat. Rebel, refuse, repeat. Rebel, refuse, repeat. Farewell, dreamers, underdogs, believers, unrealists, upstarts, diehards, rebels, nerds, freaks, misfits, weirdos, critics, skeptics, mystics, iconoclasts, oddballs, and everyone else, the readers, makers, wanderers, drifters, schemers, poets, builders, listeners, late-night thinkers, quiet observers, loud experimenters, stubborn optimists, careful doubters, and rebellious imagineers who keep insisting in one way or another that meaning is still worth making, that language still matters, that attention is the greatest act of love and care, and that we are still, against all odds, in this together.